My wife is Buddhist, and I used to go to a Buddhist temple and study the Kongan, Buddhist questions, with a very old monk who died years ago, and I still carry a question in my head. Dragons have much to do with Buddhism, and dragons are like a symbol of enlightenment. One thing, you might find some dragons around here. If you look around, does anybody see any dragons in this room? Yeah, up front, there's several dragons. See, on top of the Buddha, you see, there's some, looks like the yellow dragons, and they're carrying the fiery balls in their mouths, or actually they're reaching for them. Those are wish-fulfilling jewels, yogi-ju. It's called siddhamani in Sanskrit. And it grants almost everything someone would wish for. This person has it as a possession. It's made in the dragon's body. And you also see dragons around the incense bowl, where people put incense, burn incense, and incense carries light, the prayers to the Buddha. So the dragons are guardians of Buddhism and of Buddhist temples. There was a story in the Jataka tales from India where many monks were lined up to get the blessings from the Buddha. And the dragon wanted to get blessings too. So he transformed himself into a monk, because dragons can take any form, and they can become small and large and fat and thin. And so he was in line, but the Buddha, when the monk that was really a dragon came up to him, saw him, he said, "I can tell you are not a monk, you are not a human being, that you're really a dragon." And then the dragon confessed, and he said he wanted so much to have the blessing of the Buddha. And the Buddha said, "You're not ready to be a human being, but I do need help from you. You can protect my temples," because there was a lot of danger from thieves and human wars, and from ghosts and demons. And so the dragons had power to repel, especially supernatural forces. So from that time, the dragons became protectors of the Buddhism. And actually, earlier, dragons became protectors of the Buddha. Because when the Buddha was born, and his mother Maya went to bathe him first in a warm stream and then in a cool stream, because the warm stream opens the pores and cleanses the body, and the cool stream closes the pores so the baby doesn't get a chill from draft. And during that time, the 9 nagas, which are very big, like snakes, is the mother of all things that move, were standing guard over the baby, protecting with their hoods open. And you can see when you go to the temple on Buddha's birthday, you can see statues of the baby Buddha and streams of water coming out of the mouths of dragons, 9 dragons. There's one in the Boan-sa near Yonsei University, where I live, that is like that. And also, after the Buddha achieved his enlightenment under the Bodhi tree, he didn't quite know how to express what he'd learned in words and how to share it with other people. So he sat many days trying to create a method to express that in a way that could be understood with people in different levels. And sitting in the forest is dangerous, so the Nagas also came around him and protected him, shaded him while he sat until he composed his Dharma and could go out among the people. So when you go to the Buddhist temple, you do much more than here. You'll see dragons everywhere. You'll see dragons on the drums and dragons around the candlesticks and dragons in paintings. You'll see the Dragon King in a large painting of the protectors of Buddhism among generals and saints. And you'll see it on the palanquin, which it's this little carriage which is carried on 4 long poles, which have dragons at the end of each of these sticks, different colors. Often they would have the blue and the yellow dragon. Blue is the yin dragon, and yellow is the yang dragon. And together they are the forces of creativity. And the forces mix and give life to all things. The dragons came from the India with Buddhism, with the Bodhidharma, a few thousand years ago. There's also reports that before that, dragons came also about 7,000 years ago to China. And perhaps around that time they also came to Korea. The dragons have been here a long time. The fishermen and people living by water, farmers, they all needed protection at sea or on the land, so they imagined it as a dragon god that protected, that could protect them, that provided rain and safety at the seas. So the Buddhist missionaries, when they sailed from India and China to the various islands, spreading the Dharma, prayed to the Dragon King. The Dragon King, who is also present, as I said, in each of the Buddhist temples, has many sons and daughters. And there's actually 4 dragon kings for each of these seas, north, south, east, and west. But he's responsible for all life in the sea, and so can provide the missionaries with safe passage to their destination. And you can see in many temples there are paintings of the Kwanzaa Bosal standing on the back of a dragon crossing the sea, and sometimes you see a dragon boat with Kwanzaa Bosal on the boat. And you could see during the Buddhist birthday. Did you go to the Buddhist birthday parade? You did it in May, I think, or late April. There was a Buddhist birthday parade on Jungno, and there was an enormous dragon, as big as this room, with all different colors, and it was puffing out smoke and fire and making it roar. And on his back was Kwanzaa Bosal, also with a crown on it. Kwanzaa Bosal there is a conflation of the Chinese goddess of mercy and the Bodhisattva Avalokitesvara, the conflation. So it's not clear. It can be both male and female, this Bodhisattva. And so when you go to the temple, there you also find on the doors, at the bottoms of each of the doors is a dragon of a different color. It could be red and gold and yellow and blue and white, and each one represents a different element, like water, fire, earth, metal, and wood. And so all the dragons of all the elements are protecting the gates of the Buddhist temple. And sometimes you see even the Emperor of Heaven is there with a spear, and he's carrying a dragon shield, a ferocious dragon shield at one of the doors. I saw this at Young Amsa recently at Bukhansan. It's a Dragon Rock Temple. They have that. And inside they have also paintings of the Dragon King. There's a big stream and cave there, spring in a cave. And so the Dragon King is under the Buddha. It's under this altar here, and he's an old man with a big beard and a crown, and he holds a yoiju, and his daughter is there shooting up a spring of water, and another little boy on the other side shooting up a spring of water. And in this dragon stone temple, there's a cave which I went in and sat down. And in the 6th century BC, when Zen Buddhism was in China, dragon was used as a metaphor for going into the cave and facing your deepest fears and obstacles, and and overcoming the darkness inside you. So and that dragon, that image is closer to the Western image of a dragon, like in the Christian image of it being something evil that needs to be cast out or thrown away with the help of God, praying to God. And in Western psychology, the Freud looked at the dragon as like a devouring mother, or it could be a devouring corporation or a devouring government that we need to escape from. But Carl Jung looks at it as the unconscious, or the darkness in our mind, the shadow, which needs to be enlightened, needs to be recognized, wants to be recognized and integrated into the personality, so we have the awareness. So the reason why I started getting interested in dragons, writing a book about dragons, especially dragon dreams, was a dream that I had in December of last year. And in this dream, a large blue dragon with 3 loops was swimming across a bay. And on its back there were rocks and trees, on each of the loops, and like little hills. And inside its belly, like its throat here, and inside each of the other 2 bellies, were little babies, like little Chinese babies, like little baby Buddhas. That's what they look like, 1 or 2 years old. On Buddha's birthday, little boys' hair is shaved, and they're dressed up in the monks' robes, and you see their pictures on calendars, and they're smiling, and they're on paintings and photographs. And so when I looked at that dream, at that time I didn't think that part. I only thought that this morning when I was coming here, and because I'm coming here to talk about Buddhism and dragons, so I hadn't made that correlation. I had thought, well, those babies represent some kind of birth, that I'm going to a new land, and something new and wonderful is going to come out of it. And maybe the book is going to be one of those things. But now I see also that that's sort of like the dragon coming from the other world, or from paradise, and then coming to another shore, a new shore of rebirth, and a new understanding, a freshness, and which is something that I needed. And then that's very easy to collate with the idea of that I had this morning, that this can also be a kind of going to the other shore is a kind of enlightenment or bigger understanding, and that could be looked forward to. So that's what leads me into some talking about about the Buddhism that derives from various books that I found in my house that I've been reading time and again. One is this book of Zen poems, and there's a poem in here in which one man is asking a great Zen master to explain the Dharma, and the master doesn't say anything at all. And after a while, the man is kind of upset, so he says, is that like the story of the man who had a very long beard, and somebody asked him, when you go to sleep, how do you arrange your beard? And then that night, the man went to bed and he said, how do I arrange my beard? Do I put it outside the blanket or inside the blanket? And he couldn't sleep all night, because before he didn't think about it at all. And now he started thinking about it. And then the monk didn't say anything in reply, just smiled. So we can think that anytime we start talking, we start with an original mind that's clear, like that monk's. As soon as he speaks a word, something might be lost, some clarity. That words are, there's so many languages we have, and each language has different nuances, and each receiver of the words has a different ability to comprehend what is said. And each speaker has a different ability to express. So what is meant to be expressed from a wordless experience is very hard to be relayed accurately and to be heard accurately, and it can be mistaken. So this monk didn't want to take a chance. He just said, you just have to do it and to know it. So that's one thing I picked up from here. And then there's this book is The Mirror of Zen, and it's one of the most popular books for monks in Korea. It's one old master said there's so many books to study, we don't have time in our lifetime to study all these books. So I'm going to do you a favor, and I'm going to take the essence of all these books and put them in this one book, and then you can benefit from it. So this is it's in English, and it was a famous monk who recently died, is a book, Jung Suning, wrote the commentary, and it was translated by an American monk, Hyungak. So what hit me here, because I feel like that what the monk said, that why do we have to read all this stuff? Just find the essence. What's the main teaching? If we can go to that, we can save ourselves a lot of trouble. And the fifth patriarch once said, it's better to keep your true original mind than contemplate the Buddhas of the 10 directions. So, and this other one said that Buddha originates in your own nature. There's no need to seek outside yourself. So, it seemed to me that was the essence, to seek our original mind. That's the foundation from which all ideas come from, even the idea of I, and every single word comes from there, and everything disappears back into that. And that we all have a perspective on life which has come to us almost accidentally because of our upbringing, our cultures we were born into, our education, our reading, our individual experiences. So everyone has a different view of the world. So we can say everybody has a subjective view of the world. Nobody has an objective view of the world, or at least not continuously. It might be moments. But for me to get an objective view of the world would mean we'd have to contain the whole world, whole universe in our heads at one time, instantly. And who can do that? Maybe there's nobody that actually can do that. So because we have subjective view, that's why they say this world is an illusion, it's a dream, because it's a creation of our own thinking. It's not really the way we think about it. It's not really the way the Republicans or the Democrats think about it. But everyone has attained an identity made up of names and family and all these other things, and put it like in a fence. It's like in a little house in the brain. And this is me, and this is the way I think. And this is my opinion, and I'll defend it to the death. But it's actually just a convenience. It's not the reality of the world. It's just a perspective. And if we see that everybody is that way, everybody is looking that way, the 3 billion people on this planet, then we can see, oh yes, my view is subjective. What I'm saying now is subjective. And we can then strive to become more objective, to loosen the subjectivity, to break down the walls and maybe make it a barbed wire fence, and to break that fence into a picket fence, into a string, until we open up and we don't have any more prejudices or dogmas. That's possible. When I was a child, I remember Ralph Bunche, who was Afro-American ambassador to the United Nations. He said, the only dogma I have is to have no dogma. Because that way he could be objective. So when we have attachments to our thoughts and our name and all these different things, we get in fights with the people who think differently. And when we lose what we're clinging to, we feel upset and we suffer because we thought that was very important for our self-identification. And we can say perhaps we've lost our mind in that way. Because there's one thing that we can never lose, and that's our mind, if we know how to go back to it. And that mind, what I'm talking about, is this original mind, the Buddha mind, that is clear and free from the obstacles. That is always here. And if we always have that, we don't need anything else. We can be comfortable and peaceful and free from all anxiety by going there. And so I was looking in this book. I went with Dr. Kim to Haeryong Temple, which is in Bukhansan, and he asked me to work with a group of 20 children. We were drawing pictures about peace, and like that. And after we had lunch with a former professor here at Dongguk University who was in charge of the Translation Institute. He's about 80 years old, a little man. He looks kind of like Yoda in Star Wars, And he was teaching the nuns it's a Nogyong. This is Surangama Sutra, which is a Chinese sutra. It was a very famous one and very popular in Korea. And so he's teaching that, and again I thought, I don't want to read this whole thing, about eyes and ears and nose and mouth and on and on and on. What's the essence of this? So I looked through, and then I found the commentator was pointing out that this was the essence, and then I looked in the sutra. This morning I looked again, and the Buddha is explaining the kind of meditation which is helpful for reaching this original mind, the clarity. And he says, a great assembly, Ananda, that's one of his famous disciples. And he says, merely turning your hearing round to listen to your genuine true nature, which is the destination of the path that is supreme. This is the genuine way to break through to enlightenment. So turning around, which means turning away from outside distractions and just listening inside without thinking is the way to find our original mind. And then he said, The best of all methods is the practice taught by the one who hears the cries of the world, which is also Kwanzaa Bosal, because that's the one who hears the sound. So what that meant to me was that we go to the emptiness, the clear space, which is not empty, it's clear, and then we can listen and let in the world. And then that clear space becomes like this room, just air. We're not here in a way. We see that we're like in the air, and everything is here. You were all here, and but I can perceive that without any distractions of thought. So just be here comfortably with you in that way, and that is a example of a small open space, fresh mind, which lasts momentarily. They call that something like, just as an analogy, is a sudden enlightenment, is that we could all have sudden enlightenment briefly, and then lapse back into discursive thinking, and anxieties, whatever, and then later on, you're in a park or you sit down, and suddenly everything clears again. And that's another moment. And that's called gradual enlightenment, which can take years and years or maybe never get there, but you get a taste of it. It's enough to get a taste of it to know it's a wonderful thing that you can go back to, and you can cut all the attachments, because attachments are based on our ignorance that we need these other things. Once we're free from that, we let it go, then we can find some bliss inside. I'll give an example. I have two daughters. One's 30 years old, and one's 18. And so for 30 years, I always had a daughter by my side. We studied together, and I took them to school, and we went to movies together. And every day I had a daughter. That was my purpose in life, my joy in life, of being a good father. And then the older one went away to college, and this summer she came back and took the second one to college. We all went to Incheon Airport together. And when they started to leave, I started crying. I thought, oh my God, 30 years, my whole life has been with daughters. And suddenly it's nothing there anymore. So then they left, and I thought, how could I even come back to Seoul? I'll see all the places that we'd been together. How could I go back to my house and see her empty room? And it was really, I came back and I couldn't even close the bathroom door. I felt like something black was closing over me. And I thought, oh, this is depression. I know that must be, I've heard of that was, depression is something material. And so I couldn't stay in my house. And I got up in the balcony, and I saw somebody down the street. He's a missionary, an American guy with two little boys. And I just ran down just to say hello to him, and he looked at me after I talked to him a bit. He says, you've got empty nest. That's empty nest syndrome when the children go away to school. And then I decided, well, I just can't, I don't want to get sick, and I don't want to fall into depression. Who's going to take care of me? So I have to figure out what to do. And I called my cousin. She's a psychologist in San Francisco, and she said she's worried about that too, because she's going to retire. She said, but she said she's not going to have a structure in her life, and she's not going to, doesn't have any friends because she was working. Then I saw, oh, that's why you need structure. The structure, I'll write my book. And then I made a list of all the men and women that I knew who were friends in the past. And I started calling them every day. And then I went every night up to the Bowansa temple. They had a lotus garden with the festival in the summer. In the nighttime, nobody would be there. And every night I went, and I said, okay, I would experiment with my mind. What can I do to overcome this? And I'd write poems about the flowers and myself and my daughters, and come home and keep it in a journal. And then I called a friend of mine who was a Buddhist mural painter. He paints pictures of the Buddha, and he's been here a long time, an American. And he said, you should kick back and enjoy the moment. That's what he said. And so when I'd go up in the mountain, I'd go beyond the temple into the forest at night, and I'd just stand still and I'd say, enjoy the silence. Enjoy the stillness. Enjoy the stream. And so I started practicing just being in the moment and hearing everything. And I could gradually let go of my daughters. And it was just middle of August, just recently. And I could gradually, close the doors and find my own life, being able to stand on my own and free my mind. Because my mind was in the prison. It needed the women. It needed my daughters, rather, for company and for my self-identification. And so now I am free from that. We communicate once in a while on the internet, but there's no great need to do that now. So that's what I have gathered. I don't know if this is how others would teach it, but that's the way I've experienced it. I've also been reading this book called Survival. This woman, when she was 18 years old, was captured by the Nazis and taken to Auschwitz and had a terrible time there. And then she worked was taken to a German town where she was clearing debris and always being deprived. She wore the same dress for 1 year with no underwear and no bathing. And they just drank a cup of dirty water, and sometimes they had a piece of bread. She survived a year. And then she was sent to starts with a B and a B, and it's the last camp. The Germans marched all the surviving concentration camp prisoners to this camp, and for 3 days, half of them died on the way. And when they got in the camp, they just were starved. They weren't given food, and there was typhus. And she survived because she determined. Her uncle and father had taught her, her uncle taught her fencing. He said, pain or adversity builds your character. And the father said, always love other people, don't hate others, and have faith and hope. Because when people would lose their mind and get angry, they would attack the officers, or they would run and electrocute themselves on the fences. They would self-destruct. But the people who could survive were those who were able to keep hate out of their minds, to understand these people are sick around us. They've got big problems, and I don't want to be part. I don't have to be part of their problems. I can keep my health, my mind. So, am I running out of time? Yeah. So that's. Do you have any questions then? Is that right? Should I ask questions? Yes. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
I have a question about dragons.
Yes.
Do you have any idea, who have studied why the dragon became an important symbol? Why the dragon? Why was it the dragon?
Yeah.
And at what point did it become really symbolic?
Yeah. Well, we can't. It's not always a symbol, of course, because human beings go back millions of years. But I imagine that the Stone Age people found dragon bones. In Mongolia, they're still there, and dragon footprints we found in southern Korea. But I think that different tribes needed to survive, and that's why different tribes adopted totems, all around the world as their protectors. Bear or tiger or snake or strong animal spirit, which they would pray to protect them from their enemies. And the strongest animal possible is the dragon. The dragon can change shape into any animal, any shape or form. And dragon is the spirit of nature. Dragon is the mother of nature, the creator of everything, the earth, the mountains, the streams, and so it can give blessings to everyone. And that's why all the dynasties in Korea, from every kingdom, is descended from a dragon egg or from a dragon. So dragons have been recognized from I guess in time immemorial, from anything that's written, from ancient times during that period there would be references to dragons. In China, at least. Chinese scriptures go much farther back than Koreans. Chinese accounts and histories. Yeah. So that's why when I'm writing this book, I felt, my own life. I'm getting older, and I don't know what the future's going to bring, and I needed to make myself stronger to survive. And I also look at the dragon. It's a message through the dreams that I need to make myself stronger and use the power of the dragon to do it. Does that sound right?
I understood because for such a long time,
yes,
the dragon has been such a powerful
yes,
symbol. I'm just curious as to when people started writing about the dragon, referring to the dragon, painting the dragon as such a powerful symbol. I'm just curious if they actually believed at that point that it was a real animal, or if it was possible, they thought it was possible, something that in the past existed, or are they just piecing together elements and putting them into a symbol that
What did I read it something, the Han Dynasty was was a BC in China. It was the azure, the turquoise dragon was their symbol from back then. It's a symbol that, because maybe became it was in folk religion and then became part of Taoism, which is older than Buddhism, I think, at least in China, and as a symbol of nature, and so it became not like a Western dragon. It became a composite animal. That it has got camel's head and the demon's eyes and the deer's antlers and the tiger's paws and an eagle's claws and fish's body and the clam's belly, and it's an animal of fantasy, people. But that's how it can take all the forms. It started, must have very, very simple, in somebody's dream, or they just an illusion, or they saw because you could see shapes of dragons in clouds and in streams and in trees. If you have an imagination, you could see those things. So people are always trying to make it more, more wonderful, more powerful, because it seemed like our problems in life were insurmountable. So we needed to create an image that could take care of everything. And that became the dragon, that guards all the Buddhism and Taoism and nature and the I Ching, the I Ching book of changes. That's the primary symbol in it, that it's a symbol of change. So I think it's like that. It started very simple and then became more complex over time. Through thousands and thousands of stories. Yeah. So, other questions? Okay. So, now should I?
We have 20?
Oh, you have more time. Right? That's what I don't have a clock, so.
2:55.
2:55. Okay. There's this gem which the dragon cultivates in its belly is called the Yoiju in Korean. It is Siddha Mani in Tibetan, or simply Mani. You've heard the Om Mani Padme Hum, the Tibetan mantra, hail the jewel of the lotus. And the lotus is a very clean flower. It rises, as you know, from the mud, but it's unstained and it's white. So it's like concentrated starlight, and it's pure. And if we make our minds like the lotus, pure, without stain, which meaning that we don't think ill of anyone or of ourselves, and we don't greed for anything from anyone else, that we are content. Then it's like the water settling in the pond, or the air on a foggy day clearing into, like this air, we can't see it. And then our mind, our clear mind emerges like that. It's a metaphor. The jewel of the lotus, the mani, is the mind, is our original nature. Maybe we shouldn't use a word at all for that. So that kind of metaphor is very good one, in that we can imagine ourselves as the air in this room, without thought. And then suddenly we see everything here and can contain everything in our being, and very comfortably. Or if we're in the water, underwater in the sea, in a similar way, if we imagine ourselves as the water, the clear water, then we can contain everything in the water, all the fish and the rocks and the coral. And if we get in the habit of going back to that, then whenever we have a problem, we can enjoy that original mind. Enjoying is important. Not just going there, but enjoying it, because it's a pleasure. It's a tasteless pleasure, but it's a wonderful experience, and it's preparation for us, because throughout our lives, just like my daughters went away, we'll reach different stages where we'll get sick, we'll lose our health, and then we will die. Everybody on the planet has ever lived, has died or will one day die. And so we have to, if we prepare for it in advance, because every time we go back to our original mind, we die to our old self. We get refreshed, because all of our memories, those are dead things, everything we did in the past. There can be hindrances if we cling to them. If we let them go, then we get reborn every moment. So the Yoiju is seen in the paintings as between two dragons, and they're both fighting for it. And sometimes the dragon clutches in his hand, in his claw, and sometimes he has it in his mouth. And sometimes there's male and female dragons. The female dragons are smaller, and they have female qualities. And I've collected so many birth dreams about dragons. This will be in my book, and most of the dragons are male, but the female dragons, the babies who are born after the dreams, are always, they look like females. But the circulation of the male, of the yin and yang dragons, the blue and the red, or the blue and the yellow, cause the energies of creation to move and to mix and to create. And that's for the Taoism and I Ching, the dragon is that symbol. But when we look at the Buddhist paintings from Kogoryeo, and there's been some exhibitions at the National Museum that I've attended over the years, there's been wonderful treasures which were created in Kogoryeo, the ancient kingdom that was in the northern part of Korea, and which were taken by the Japanese during their occupation, and they were on loan to the Korean National Museum. It shows the Bodhisattvas, the Kwanzaa Bosal and Kisit Garba, the god of the Bodhisattva of the underworld, the one who goes underworld to rescue the lost souls, and Kwanzaa Bosal, who hears the cries of the suffering people. She or he hears everyone. That Sittamani, the mani, is held in the hand, sometimes like this, to make a circle in the palm, and it's clear. It's not red or blue like the Taoist ones or the ones in front of the temples, but it's clear to represent the mind. And in the paintings, it has the halo also around the Buddha's head, and also halo around the Buddha's body. So when I was there the last time, there were 2 Tibetan monks in the museum. So I gathered my courage and I went up to them and I said, "Are those halos 3-dimensional?" And they said, "Yes." So the halos, when you see the halo, it's not just shining here, it's like a sphere or a globe. Because the light is coming out of the enlightened Buddha, not only from behind, but in all directions. And the same with the body. It's not only from behind, but all directions. And the Yoiju, the Sittamani, the mani is clear because it's representing the mind. So that's the simple teaching of the Buddha, I think, is to go back to that sphere of the mind. Whenever there's any problem, that we have the attachment to anything, we're suffering, we remember, we could return to our original mind, and then we could see, it's not so bad. That's going to pass, and I'm going to die. But here is the Buddha paradise. We don't have to die to go to any paradise. Our own paradise is our own mind. Our own mind is a paradise. And our own mind is a hell, too, if we let it be. And most people, I think most people, a lot of the time, are suffering in a hell because of the lack of consciousness, understanding that it's their mind that creates their problems, their interpretation. One of the 3 billion perspectives of the world, in the planet now. That if they just change the perspective a little bit, the problem will change. Their life situation will change. And there's so many options. There's 360 degrees. There's so many ways to change our opinion. We can think anything with this brain, or take any stance with this brain. And when we see that, we see all these are illusions, and they're convenient for getting through life and survival. And some are more clear than others. There's a spectrum. Some are like concentration camps. Some are like meadows with little fences around, and marked off where this is me and my space. But once we realize that it's not the externals that give us happiness, not the material things, not the prizes, but it's our mind, the way it looks at the world, the way it receives the world, that gives happiness. And then, once we have that, we can share that with other people, with our friends. They say that someone who has that kind of understanding really deeply, I think one was the Ramana Maharshi in India, that when you were around them, you could feel such a softness coming from that person's body, such a gentleness that you naturally started feeling relaxed and at ease, and your problems drifted away. It kind of rubbed off from him on you. And so once a person can achieve that kind of level, then they can help other people. And so that's what's called a bodhisattva, is once you have the kind of understanding, you can help others. So that's why in this sutra it said, first you listen with your ears inside, but then instantaneously, once you can hear through this empty space, instantaneously you are aware of the world, but in an objective way. You don't have, say, I don't like this person or that person, or this person did that. You don't have any opinion at all about it. You see everybody as fresh. And you also can see that everybody changes every second. And we don't have to pin any particular identity on anybody. But let them be, give them a chance. Because everybody has a very wonderful side, and everybody has a corrupt side, I guess, and everybody has the Buddha nature, that empty mind that they can go back to. if only their attention is pointed that way. So he said the ears, instead of hearing out, point in and hear in. And then we can also contain the out, because that's what Kwanzaa Bosal is listening to, the cries of the world. So she is hearing outside. So these are some thoughts that have come to me when preparing. I only had a few days, because I just learned Saturday, or I was asked to do this, so I'm very grateful for the chance to come here, because it helped me put together thoughts that I might not have done, and it also helped my dragon book, because I found more material about dragons in Buddhism than I had before. So I'm very grateful for this opportunity. Are there any more questions? Okay. Do you still have time?
It is supposed to end this gathering before like 10 to 4.
I can't see the clock because there's a light shining on and I'm nearsighted too. What is it now?
3:05.
3:05. And we have until 10:04?
Yes.
Oh, it's 3:05?
No.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I made I thought a lot about the Yoiju. It's also, we could say, it's like a philosopher's stone, the wish-fulfilling gem. It's sometimes blue, sometimes red, and sometimes gold, and sometimes clear, like a dewdrop. And I tried to imagine having one in my hand. So would you like to try an exercise that I created it about the Yoiju? Okay. Imagine there's a ball, like a crystal ball, but it's just red in your right hand. And it's flaming. It's red and hot. And imagine it spinning clockwise around your palm. And feel it going round and round. And maybe you'll be able to feel some kind of chi, energy, moving. Can you do that? Can you feel anything? It's red and hot, Yoiju. Red and hot. I love you, I love you. Yoiju, red and hot. I love you all day long. You just feel it going around. And then, if you, just very softly, just keep your mind on your hand and imagine the red ball there. And imagine it going up your arm, like through a tunnel, and through your shoulders, and down your other arm to your left hand. Imagine it spinning there too. And Yoiju, Yoiju, I love you, I love you. All day long. Now you're feeling the Yoiju energy in both hands. And now kind of circulate it. Move it back to the right hand and move it around in a circle slowly to the left hand. To the right hand, around your back, your left hand, like through a tunnel. And maybe you can feel a very light sense of energy from there. Now just sit quietly and feel. Maybe you can feel energy moving up your arms, into your back, and your whole body, your head and your body, kind of warm feeling. Because the red yoiju brings warmth to your body. And just sit with that for a little while. Whenever you're feeling cold, you can always do this one. You warm the whole body. The more you practice, the more you'll feel. And I thought it helpful to chant to myself something like that, Yoiju, Yoiju, I love you all day long. Because it's the jewel of enlightenment. And now, imagine in your right hand the blue Yoiju, a blue crystal ball, gemstone. It's blue and cold. And imagine it circling clockwise, slowly through your palm and your fingertips. Say, Yoiju, cold and blue, I love you all day long. Now bring it up through your right arm, rolling up over your shoulders, and down your left arm into your left palm, and circling clockwise your palm and fingertips. Yoiju, cold and blue, I love you all day long. Maybe you can feel more of the chi energy rising comfortably. In your palm. And now roll it to your right hand, your palm, and circulate it up your right arm, your shoulders, left arm, your palm, left palm to right palm, and over your shoulders, back to the left palm, to the right palm, and over your shoulders. So 3 times. And again, Yoiju, cold and blue, I love you all day long. Now this one is good for you when you're feeling hot. You might feel your body feeling more cool now. Cools down your body. I learned this long ago when I was researching American Indian dreams, that when one tribe, when they wanted somebody needed to be healed of a fever, they imagined being inhabited by a blue man. And when they wanted to be cured of a cold, they imagined being inhabited by a red man. So now you have the blue on top of the red, The red on your palms is rising energy, rising heat. The blue is cooling heat. Cooling sinks down. So the yin and yang are mixing in your palms. That. And now you can feel it rising up through your arms and your whole body. And imagine now you lifting your left hand, and there you have a clear Yoiju, Sittamani, the symbol of Buddha's enlightenment. And you imagine there's a halo around your head and around your body. It's just pure and clear. And breathe. Breathe gently. And feel that halo, including the whole room, and the whole world, the whole cosmos. Be absolutely free from everything else but that, but this. When you're comfortable, you can come back and put your hands in your lap. Could you feel anything that time? No? Nobody? You could? It takes practice. It's a practice. Also, I learned that a Chinese Oriental medical doctor, it's called Yang Tang. He said that you put hot water first in the cup, like this, hot water first, the energy is going up. Then you put the cold water second, energy is going down, cold goes down. It mixes, and it's a live water, a live energy. So when we're doing this, we're making ourselves like a cup of water with the qi. So it's circulating the energy in a healthy way. When we if we put cold water first, that's going down, and hot water second, that's going up. It's separating heaven and earth, it's separated, breaking our body in half. It's not integration, so it's not a healthy way to do it. So it's good to know. That's why I take hot shower first, just like the Buddha got the warm bath first, and then I take a cold shower at the end, like Buddha got the cool bath after. So one opens my pores and kills bacteria, and the second closes the pores and gives me a shield, like that before sleeping, every night. So. Time for meditation?
Yes.
Huh?
We are going to meditation.
Okay. You all do Zen meditation? Do any of you do Zen? Do you know how to meditate?
Yeah, last time we did it.
Okay. Yeah. And what I'm going to do is just give a kind of introduction for creating a state of mind. I often do this in this book, The Window of Zen. Pupjung Suning was saying that even though it's advised, by the fifth patriarch to go just directly to the pure and clear mind, sometimes it helps to recite a mantra or a prayer beforehand to get you in the mood, to like a bridge, and then you let go of it. And so I was practicing, and I found just kind of reciting a sound, sort of like a Sanskrit sound, and with words, would put me in a good mood, and then after I would return to empty mind, and when the thoughts came, I would just keep going back. Emotions came, keep going back. So I kept rewriting this morning, but it's something like this: Jing, 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 and jing. Buddha Dharma, come to me. Give me your sweet company. Jing, 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 and jing. Buddha Dharma, come to me. Give me your sweet love. And love, love, love and love, love and love, love and love, healing me forever. And the healing is that, healing the mind from the ignorances and the angers and the jealousies and all those things that obscure our Buddha nature. So that's what I chant to myself. You can do that or whatever, anything else that's comfortable to you. And then then I would sit, and I'd imagine I had 4 bodies. One's looking forward, one's looking back, and one's looking to the left, one's looking to the right, so I have all the directions. And then I return to the empty mind from that. So you can do that, or just follow your own practice, whatever you do. Okay? So, do I clap my hands to start meditation? Oh, you can. Okay. Oh, thank you. Okay. you might, when you finish, turn your wrist around like this, put your little finger and thumb on the sides of your wrist and turn it in each direction to loosen up and move your fingers around. And do the other one. And then hold your ankle and turn your ankle each direction. And you can even switch hands like that. It has a different effect on each direction. And then do the other ankle. 6 times or so in each direction. And then switch hands. So you switch left and right hand on the same foot. Hold your toes in your ankle each way. And then move your feet like this. Make your and put out up your knees and then down, slide it down. And then rub your hands together and kind of massage your face, all the eyes or nose and lips, and brush your hair back and rub your ears and smile. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.